Secret friends, unite!
One. Welcome to Spooky Friends Unite, episode 497. I am one of your hosts, Todd, the Terrifier Oxtra. Ho, 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 ho. Join Charlie, the Churlizer Garden.
Oh, how did we get here? Ooh, week 5 of Shocktober. Anyway, yeah, good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Happy, what do we got?
It's very scary. Afternoons are the scariest time to podcast.
It is. It depends. Oh, my
witching hour.
Let's see here. Yes, it is the 27th of October's recording, which means Halloween is a scant 4 or 5 days away. I'm not doing the counting. We'll call it 4 days. So time to break into to bust into my garage and figure out which bin in the way back from my cosplay days I want to break out. I'm thinking about my X-Wing pilot, which is an outfit I put together this time last year.
A zombie X-Wing pilot? Charlie, let's make it scary.
Why not? Maybe I'll hang some scraps of flesh over it. There we go. Yes, why not? So what about you, Todd? Are you going to be the king of Halloween Town again?
Probably. Yeah, we're not sure what we're going to do. It's going to be cold. It's going to be 48 degrees on Halloween, a chance of rain. We were thinking about being outside with a fire, but you know what? Not so much. I mean, that's 48. When 48's the high, that means it's going to be, kids are going to be wearing jackets underneath their costumes, which is fine.
Yeah,
I'll bring out some goofy gear.
Why
not?
You know, we're fortunate with the porch on the front of my house, and we have a little table by the step side that we can be out there and it's too cold. We can sneak inside with the front door open, sitting on the couch. You can see when kids actually walk up. So then you get up. So we have the ultimate lazy Halloween setup. It's not bad. It is bad when kids walk up on my porch and then try to jump off in the other direction where there's no steps into the dark. I'm like, I'm cool not having that lawsuit. Thanks a lot. So you got to watch them like a hawk.
It's a future like Indian burial ground. You just have a child cemetery on your property, Charlie. What could be better?
Sure, why not? Sounds good to me, especially in the front yard. That'll really ramp the property
I
value.
think I'm gonna break out like the ring cam, but I'm gonna use like spooky voices and things in it to say, "Get away! You'll get cavities. Do your homework." That'll scare kids right there. Brush your teeth.
Won't scare them straight. Oh, my goodness. Well, anyway, we've got a great show today. Clearly wrapping up Shocktober, talking about one of the damn scariest movies that I've seen in a long time. I'll tell you that much. But before we do that, we always like to give some love, affection, and etc. to the wonderful folks in our Secret Friends Unite Patreon by visiting patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. You can try out all of our wonderful wares for 7 days for free and as little as $2 a month going forward from that. I'm talking about ad-free shows, early shows, great extra content, including the Spinner Rack, which Todd and I do together, the Facts Geek Life, which myself and a guest will take on a classic genre show, and several episodes of that. Todd and I are going to do the 7th season of The Simpsons coming up in the near future, kind of continuing that trend. So yeah, we would love to have you on board and check us out. In addition, this week, we are recording a great time to record, actually tomorrow, because it'll be Wednesday of this upcoming week, Todd, unless I've got that wrong. If you're listening to this on Tuesday when it comes out, we are having our monthly Patreon online hangout party. It's Mark, Todd, and myself. We jump on with whomever else is in the Patreon sphere that wants to tune in. Todd's got some fun games and questions. We kind of go round robin and have a good time. That's going to be at 8 p.m. Central, upcoming this Wednesday. And you can only take place if you are a Patreon, even if you are a trial Patreon member. So again, patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. Don't miss out. Just like all these fine folks, which hopefully some of them will be tuning in. My buddy Derek Trevelyan, the figure dude, right here in West Michigan. Francie, my wife's hairdresser, who will be very excited that April and I are publishing the latest episode of our Bad Movies podcast tonight. And I'm not going to tell you what movie it is. You have to tune in. April picked it this time. Xbox expansion
Is it scary?
It's scary bad, and it's scary somewhat intentionally because it is horror related somewhat. So Luke Lord, the Xbox expansion pass, and my uncle Tim Horan, great guy. John Sedorf, the Phoenix Sisters Entertainment, Kelly and Cradley, Brennan Myers, Corey in HD, and our pal Matthew Keel. And lastly but not leastly, without whom there would be not, the awesome Nias family, Sean, Stella, and Henry there in the Twin Cities are our top supporters. We are grateful for each and every one of you. One more time, with all this fun stuff coming up, there's only one place to track it down, patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. We'd love to have you on board for the 7 days. And again, $2 a month. That's a fraction of a Starbucks. I went to Starbucks recently because usually April will order for her app, but I was having coffee with one of my clients. $6 to get a small PSL. $6. Look at that. Cut that, slice that right down the middle, and you're a member of SFU.
$6 for small. Wow. Grand Rapids
I know.
prices, Charlie. Those are white people prices.
Todd, you can't just call them white people. Can you?
I'm talking to you about you, Charlie.
Oh, yes. I expect it to be the same for everyone, but you never know. Oh, anyway, let's take a step back in the Wayback Machine to the year 1991. Now, this would have been an issue of this particular comic that I received here at this very house. By this time, I think we were polybagged. We had the polybag with the white, hey, time to resubscribe, write down your information, and give me, what was a comic subscription then? $12, $15 to get a year of a comic. Pretty soon,
what a bargain.
Yeah, pretty soon it'll be $15 an issue.
You stayed a nickel an issue. Yes. So, Charlie, exactly. This week we got Captain America 397. This came out December 3rd, 1991. And at this point, I'm looking at this cover, and I thought this looked kind of spooky for a Cap comic that doesn't include Capwolf. And it basically says, as if Cap doesn't have his hands full already, Scourge looks. We got
lurks. He doesn't look. He lurks.
he is lurking. Well, looking and lurking are about the same thing. You got to look at something to lurk. We got Scourge in the background, I think. Then we've got Jack-o'-lantern, which I love. I love that design. So fun. Makes no sense that he actually flies.
One of the figures I have on my shelf right over here to my left, and he is on the little board, and I have it tilted to one side. That's how he keeps from falling over. I do not know who the other character is. Kind of got me, even though I definitely have read this issue because I was.
It's Flying Mammal Man.
There you go, and with his own bats, because Jack-o'-lantern didn't have bats. Jack-o'-lantern was pretty much a knockoff of the Hobgoblin, my favorite Spider-Man villain of all time.
And he debuted in Spider-Man.
He did, yeah, in ASM. I'm pinned for the issue, but yeah, he was. The character's name was Jason Macendale. He was a former mercenary and soldier of fortune, and eventually became demonized, much like the Hobgoblin himself. Nice. Got infected by a demon, probably during Inferno or the wrap up from there. So, but yeah, this was great. This would have been the return of Scourge. The original Scourge died right around Cap 320. So quite a long ways before this is right when I was becoming a reader of that title. But Scourge was famous in the 80s for killing off these D through Z list supervillains like Turner D Century and the Werecat or something. I mean, there's a whole list of them. And there was that great issue where he poses as a bartender and he stands up with these two guns and just does one of these and kills, I think, 17 or 18 of them in one drop. So great stuff. Mark Gruenwald, R.I.P. One of my favorites.
Yeah, I gotta tell you a little about this guy. The one character we couldn't identify. His name is Blackwing, and you'll love this. Blackwing is the son of Silvio Manfredi.
The Silvermane.
Yes. So you got to love this. And he was born in Orlando, Florida. It's, the mean streets of Orlando. But the great part about he and Jack-o'-lantern teamed up to form a team called the Skeleton Crew. And
that's that new Star Wars show, Skeleton Crew, right?
Yeah. And they had one of their first missions to go to the Skull House, which was Red Skull's mansion.
House. Yep.
Yes. So there you go. So that a little bit about that. I thought it was pretty funny. His first appearance though was in Daredevil 118 in 1974.
Oh, okay. That's when Silvermane was. It was funny. Silvermane is, and then we'll wrap this up because you're getting a little long on this. But Silvermane, part of the Magia, which is the mafia of Marvel, eventually he was very old, eventually died or was killed. His head got cut off and then attached to an android body. So he was the literal embodiment of the Futurama head in the jar with the body.
Was
And it was
he part of the Spider Slayers? I know it was a different guy who created them, but I thought he was just
You're thinking of this like the Sinister Six. The Spider Slayers were just robots, no cyborgs.
Okay.
But in the Spider-Man cartoon from the '90s, Smythe was the family name, was father and a son. One of them eventually did become a robot, but I do not believe they kind of followed that into the comics as well. So
can't wait until we find all about that in the next Spider-Man film, which we'll talk about very shortly.
We certainly will. Absolutely correct. And we will be getting that information as I'm looking at it from someone else who likes to dwell down in sewers, lurking around, looking and lurking. That would be our senior news correspondent, Madam Webb, at 124, almost 125 years young. My goodness. She is out in LA these days at the corner of Hollywood and Vine, waiting to give us all the latest news and scoops with our News with Madam Webb. Let's get cranking.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's Rumors and News. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Madam Webb, I heard after that beef about Ariana Grande and Elvira, basically that was a fun beef. It brought up the fact that you previously had a beef with Elvira. You said you proclaimed the name of Mistress of the Dark, but unfortunately, Madam Webb, you didn't trademark it. So now you filed for Grandma of the Dark, horror host. And unfortunately, you're going to need some work if you're going to compete with Elvira, because she's got some certain moons that definitely keep her on the forefront of horror maidens.
2 moons?
Two
moons circling?
That's the moons,
oh my gosh. Well, kicking things off, this was the big news, and this was coming probably out of New York Comic Con. I don't believe we got that information last weekend. Everybody I talked to who was at New York Comic Con is like, I can't believe that was last weekend, because it was there was so much going on. There was so much going on. But we do have a release date for Spider-Man 4, as yet otherwise untitled. It'll be blank from home something, I'm sure, to keep the trend going.
Homeless?
What? Homeless from home? Homeless Spider-Man. He has
homeless.
a home. He had a crappy apartment, just like Spider-Man did, just like Peter Parker did in the 1970s. The Chelsea Street apartment. I love it. There was an issue of Web of Spider-Man, which was one of the 80s titles, that it was an annual, and it had like little like pictorials, like here's one page. And then they had Peter Parker's apartment, which was it was a 4-room, 1-bedroom apartment. It was absolutely perfect. I'm sure if it wasn't rent controlled, there would be 9 people living in that.
I was going to say that
it'd be $5,000 a month.
The 100 square foot apartment in New York that you sublet with 5 other people. That's $1,800 a month. Yeah,
exactly correct. But anyway, Spider-Man 4 has set its sights on July of 2026, following up Avengers Doomsday. The much like as we know, following in the trend of Infinity War and Endgame, what we're assuming is a 2-part Avengers masterpiece. And they're wedging Spider-Man in the middle of it. So that does really set the mind abuzz, because let's see here. Spider-Man Spider-Man Far From Home came out in the aftermath of Endgame. But as far as what came between Infinity War and Endgame, I'm trying to figure out what was kind of consequential. I've had Ant-Man.
Infinity War. It was Captain Marvel too.
And that's right, because it kind of set the stage, but it was set in the past. And Ant-Man was set over Ant-Man was a smaller story, but it was set in San Francisco, so kind of away from all the action. But unknowingly, where Doomsday takes place, Spider-Man's right there in New York City, which is where a lot of Avengers-related things happen. So, it will be absolutely fascinating to see. Man, Todd, our brackets for 2026, when you have an Avengers movie and a Spider-Man movie, which one's going to outdo? Or are they both going to bomb? Who's to say?
That's the hard part, because an Avengers movie without pretty much call it everybody, maybe except for Thor and maybe Hulk showing back up. I don't know
which nobody cares about.
Well, I mean, he's still alive and kicking.
I mean, he'll be there, but you've lost 2 of your big 3. of the classic Avengers triumvirate. So you don't have Cap, and you
Yeah.
don't have Iron Man, even though you have, Cap Falk, which is just, I mean, the early buzz around the Captain America movie that comes out in February, it's not great, which makes me sad because I want it to be great. But I understand we didn't talk about this, but I understand there was a pretty bad test screening of that not that long ago. So I don't really know what that means for the prospect of it, but
yeah, it's been 5 years since we've seen Tom Holland. So now he's 28.
No. The Spider-Man movie came out in 21. Spider-Man.
And this,
3.
I mean, this will be, and this is coming in 2026.
I was thinking
so it'll
about
be
now.
5 years. He's now 28, so he's not exactly college freshman Spidey age anymore.
Right. Wow.
So
that's right.
He's going to lose his boyish looks. So I at this point, I'm like, are we at a point where, we get him probably showing up in Avengers, Doomsday, and then we get him in Spidey, and then he shows up in the next Avengers film?
And then
Is that really his arc as Spider-Man? Which, I mean, at that point, God, I mean, that's 10 years of Spider-Man, the most successful Spider-Man.
In a lot of ways, I would think would have to, for comparison's sake, in the comics, at least as of, I don't even know exactly when, probably maybe between 5 and 10 years ago, Peter Parker stated that he had been Spider-Man since he was 15, which is Amazing Fantasy 15 back in 1962, for about 15 years, making him about 30 in the current rotation. So even if he's, by Marvel standards, 31, 32, that is, and then that's when Miles Morales came along. So then
he's like Menudo. He's like Menudo. You got to kick him out and bring the new boy band in, which that would be a great transition to then say maybe Miles Morales comes in, maybe there's a handoff, which I think would be amazing. And Spidey retires. He and Mary Jane finally get their happy ending. And it doesn't mean that he wouldn't come back like in the comics. Maybe he comes back as an older Spidey, with the baby. And because again, we already have 2 older Spideys in other dimensions. And those guys are rumored to also return in some way, shape, or form for the Secret Wars, which is the conclusion arc of the Avengers movie. I mean, it might be absolutely 185 characters, each with 1 minute on screen.
Yeah. Well, they could all share their minutes together. It's
kind of like the last scene in Endgame, Avengers assemble, and it's
they could pool their appearances kind of like like a family plan on a cell phone. Pool their minutes. But yes. Tom Holland was on Fallon. He said, yes, next summer we start shooting. Everything's good to go. Yep. We're nearly there. I've read the script. I'm flipping out. Zendaya read the script. We're flipping out. We're very excited about it.
And she's back. It's going to be interesting because once again, she doesn't know Peter.
Nobody does. Yeah, his identity was erased. Or
he's like again, Charlie. I believe he's going to go in there every day and buy a overpriced latte from Zendaya. That's going to be the recurring thing.
Shop. Yes, exactly. That will be how he wins her heart. So I'm, as a Spidey fan, I'm excited. Tom Holland is my favorite Spider-Man, without a doubt.
Great.
I will be excited to see where that goes. All right, what's next?
Oh, what is next this is kind of exciting because the fact that we got a fantastic Predator film that we didn't even know was a Predator film released on Hulu called Prey was amazing. Dan Trachtenberg, he's been a fantastic director, and he's essentially been given the keys to the Predator franchise, which is amazing. It allows him now to finally put Predator on the big screen, which is great. He's going to be directing Predator Badlands, which is out in November. Is that November of 2025?
25. It says 25. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, because I'm like, out in November, I'm like, whoa.
I think if it was next month, I think we'd know about it before now.
I was going to say, yeah. Okay, it says 2025, bet November. Yeah, so that's great, and that one seems interesting. The Dan Trachtenberg, I think I've said this before. Charlie, this is like a distant, like the 6 degrees of separation of SFU, which is your buddy, Louis, went to school and had a roommate, Alex. Alex.
Now, quick sidebar at that. I saw Louis at the reunion. He and Alex recently rekindled their friendship. Fantastic. They hadn't seen each other a lot of years. Alex is out in LA doing the LA thing. So anyway, please continue.
Yeah. So Alex does a great show called, oh God, he got pretty big with this own show, but before that he did the thing called Totally Rad Show, which was a great show. It's kind of like what we're doing. The three hosts, they were great. And also Jeff Kanata, who does a video game podcast. And then Dan was one of those people. A great show. Loved it. They were kind of ahead of the curve. Well, so now basically we know that. It's kind of neat that we have a connection, even though he wouldn't say it. That'd be weird. Hey, your co-host, roommate.
I'll tell you what. No, I've met Alex. I met Alex at Louis' first.
You did great.
2001.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps I will. And Louis and I we don't stay as closely.
Some connection, Charlie.
New York. I'll reach out and say, hey, I know you're chummy with Alex again. Would you kind of ping my name and see if you have any interest in work with us? We'll see what happens.
And I did podcast with Jeff Kanata, and then his co-host Christian Spicer was on our podcast. So we kind of have a commonality, which is great. Yeah. So, but Dan is making the first film because actually Predator, Prey was supposed to be did much better and could have potentially been a feature film, but they only wanted to do it in streaming because they didn't know with COVID. But he's getting his chance to do this follow-up, and this is pretty cool. So we got Predator Badlands, which is including Elle Fanning as starring in it, and it's going to be taking place in a different time frame. But he said it doesn't close the door on his first movie and that heroine either. So eventually you could see this. Yeah, and that was filming in New Zealand. It's going to be about kind of like the Old West, which is kind of cool. Predator, Old West,
love it.
Better. Yep, and then we're getting a second film, which is cool because Pregnant Bird's involved in this. It's basically an animated anthology of different takes on predators throughout time as well, which is pretty cool. Cowboys versus aliens, we're going to get that, but imagine like aliens versus samurai, aliens versus, the Zulu nation of warriors, maybe, different areas where you could think they, maybe versus the Russians. It'd be kind of fun to do that, brought into like World War II or different things. Yeah, Predator could work really well in a lot of different things. So this is great. I'm glad this series is finally back on firm ground because there's been so many attempts and I've not seen. I think was it Predator Horror was one of the films.
Predator. What was that? What was that one you said?
It was like there was a 2014 Predator film called Predators, maybe.
Predators, yeah, with the S. I feel like I've seen them all, and you're right. They had a real low spot. I enjoyed the first AVP film, which was 2004.
Okay.
They had a sequel. 3 or 4 years later, that was just kind of a gross out. It was lowish budget, but it was kind of a gross out. Yeah, and missable. And so and then they had the Predators, or there was one where it was on an alien planet, and I think the star
Shane Black directed it. Wasn't there Shane Black directed one? Was that the one that made it kind of brought it back too?
And Shane Black was, of course, one of the actors in the first Predator. He was Billy, the guy with the big glasses. Not Billy, the guy with the big glasses. They had Eric Foreman was that actor. Topher Grace was one of the actors, and I'm trying to blank on the other guy who was the main.
Oh, here we go. Predators, then The Predator, then Prey were the last 3 films. Yeah.
Right. And so it was a dip until we got to Prey, which of course was on Hulu. Yeah. Was that 2 years ago, I think? Or maybe last year? It was terrific.
Yeah. Prey was 2022. Yeah. So 2 years ago.
Absolutely terrific. So Predator has been this great time traveling entity ever since the end of Predator 2, when Danny Glover, departing the Predator ship, gets tossed a musket pistol, and that says George Washington 1782 or something. So then that this predator hunt thing has been going on Earth for centuries. So it's fascinating. So I love to see how they could get deeper into it.
And Aliens back on firm ground with Romulus. So quite honestly, at this point, we could definitely see. I mean, Disney owns these guys now, so kind of crazy,
and they're all over the comics too because Disney owns Marvel. Yeah. So there you go, conglomeration. Well, we had some very sad news just Friday of the passing of Jerry Taylor in the Star Trek world. She was a great contributor coming on board to Star Trek: Next Generation in 1990 as a writer, and then kind of overtaking as a showrunner in the last season of that show. And at that time, transitioned over to co-creating Star Trek Voyager. Not Todd's favorite Star Trek, but it's something that is very well regarded by
loved by many fans.
Yeah, huge piece of the community, and has seen a big return in recent years with Star Trek Prodigy, which is kind of its sequel series. The character of Seven of Nine being on Star Trek Picard. And a lot of the background details about Jerry Taylor went into creating the character of Catherine Janeway from the same hometown in Indiana. And then Jerry is also credited with, and Peter and I talked about this on Code 47, which was out yesterday, that she wrote what are considered to be the only quasi, but in my heart, definitely canonical Star Trek novels, because one of them is Janeway's backstory, and the other encompasses the backstory of the other main characters of the show that were not seen on screen. Because unlike with Star Wars pre-Disney, where, you know, it was the Wild Wild West and you had the EU and everything had its own separate this thing and that thing, everything that was on the written word with the Star Trek comics and books and whatever was something totally separate. But Jerry kind of brought it all together. She
Nice.
also her son, one of her surviving family members, Aaron Enberg, guested in 2 different Star Trek shows, including a recurring role as a Vulcan in Star Trek Voyager, and played a different Vulcan in an episode of Star Trek: Next Generation, and then he played a human in a different one. So nepo babies all, but you know what? He did a great job. But yeah. That's a huge loss. She was 86 years old, and the outpouring from the Trek community has been enormous as far as people
born the same year my father was born, 38.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a lifelong lived, and she has a legacy that has so many people are fans of Janeway, 7-9, all those characters. I hope she did not create Neelix or Cass.
Yes, let's hope that when it came to that, it came from Rick Berman, who everybody hates anyway.
Yes, I assume, yes.
Yeah, but Michael Piller, who is also the co-creator of both this show and Star Trek Deep Space Nine, also passed away in the late 1990s. So they're up talking about Star Trek in heaven, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So R.I.P. Jerry Taylor, and our thoughts go out to her family. So thank you for all that you did. All right. Speaking of Star Trek, Todd, I can't keep talking.
I'll take this one, Charlie, because the source material is really in my wheelhouse, but I think where it's coming from brings it all together. So Sony has really been trying to get its properties out. We obviously had a Gran Turismo movie with David Harbour. That was fine. It was a racing film. I mean, nothing big there. We also then had the Uncharted film, which did well. It was unremarkable. And then Last of Us has been like the big thing that came to TV. So they've had a lot of success. So it's amazing that one of their biggest franchises is God of War. It's an amazing franchise that went from being kind of like an over-the-top killing blood sex mini games. Yes, Charlie, there were 6 mini games in the first games. And then it matured up. They rebooted the series and basically it was basically a sequel. And it grew up everything. Basically, you had Kratos, the god of war, who became the god of war because he was a Spartan warrior and his family was killed and he wanted revenge. So basically, Zeus gave him the powers of the god of war.
There you go.
The ashes of all of his victims turned him white. So that's why he's white and he's got the mark on his face. So Kratos is a great character.
We already covered this. You can't just call them white.
True. And that's why I've always said, and it's one of my favorite franchises. And the sequel brought about that he had a child, Atreus, and his wife passed away at the beginning of the game. That basically you're going to on a path where you are burying your wife, and that's where she wants to be buried. So you and your son are basically, it's a father-son road trip, and things come back from Kratos's past as basically became a god killer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really cool story where it's done.
That does sound
the
cool.
voice. Yeah, the voice of God of War is, I'm blanking on his name, played one of the characters from Stargate, the alien, he's a big guy.
Christopher, I know the guy.
Christopher Judge. Yep. So he does the voice, very iconic voice, amazing. Well, they've been looking to adapt this, and apparently they have added an amazing showrunner. He has done some amazing things. Star Trek, famous for his work on BSG, basically Deep Space Nine. Did he do any other series, or was it just TNG and DS9?
It is so funny. You'll appreciate this. He did a couple of weeks in the writer's room. We're talking about Ron Moore, by the way.
Sorry. I didn't mention that. Yes.
But he did a couple. This is a great story. This will appreciate how different DS9 and Voyager was. After DS9 ended in 1999, Ron Moore took a staff job that summer to be on the writing staff of Voyager. He did a couple of episodes. He was so turned off by the way that writing staff did things. He quit. And then he made DS9. And then he made BSG a couple of years later. So yeah, set him on the path. And really, if you follow Battlestar and Voyager, there are similarities to the fact you got two ships that are trying to get somewhere with almost no support. But Voyager, no matter what they go through, always looks the same next week to week. Where if you watch Battlestar,
like The Simpsons, nothing has changed.
If you watch Battlestar from the beginning to the end of it, the ship is falling apart. It's destroyed.
It's attrition. Worse for wear. People are having real issues.
Exactly.
That beginning. It's the first episode where they're not sleeping because
exactly.
That's an amazing episode. So Ron Moore, Star Trek legend, Battlestar Galactica legend, and he's done For All Mankind on Apple TV Plus and Outlander, which is a show that I know has a huge fan base. Not for me. It's basically romance with time travel. But he's going to be the new showrunner behind God of War. And considering, and this is going to be on, I believe this is going to be on Amazon, so we'll have a budget. They've had a lot of great series that have been on Amazon. We've seen what they did with The Boys. We've seen with what they've done with other shows. This has got me very happy. So I will be curious what they do. The franchise is now coming up on 20 years, and it will be interesting to see if they touch on the original series of games, or they just focus on the new generation. I could see them doing touching on the original with like flashbacks on what Kratos used to be and how he overcame some of those really, dark past he doesn't talk about with his son, which comes out.
Well, in any streaming show, at least one episode is dedicated entirely to a flashback. So yeah, there definitely will be.
Exactly. So the first era was about basically Greek gods. So you had, Zeus and that pantheon. The second series went with the Norse mythology. So they could do other things to expand this, go with other, the Egyptian gods, things like that. So this is very exciting. I like what we're seeing. And if it's the quality of The Last of Us, this has me very, very excited.
Very fired up. And it does mention in this article, the previous showrunner, I already closed the window. Sorry. I don't know if you've got it open, that this guy worked on the show for 2.5 years and they couldn't get it off the ground. So it says that Ron Moore is sweeping in and he's cleaning the house, turned things up. And so assuming this could actually be in production in 2025, could get a turnaround in 2026. 2026 is going to be a crazy year for stuff. Let's face it.
It will be. Yeah. And it sounds like, because of the money and things like that, I think they wanted to bring in a guy like Ron Moore who can land the ship. He can do things on a healthy budget, not like over, like we're spending $8 billion on this thing. I think that's a big part of it too. It's like, how do you make the show work, especially how grand of a scope it is with a God of War who, kills demons and monsters and huge things.
Yeah.
And still make it resonate on a budget. So I think maybe that's where it's like Ron Moore's like, I can bring this in, make it look great and not cost $1 billion.
Exactly correct. So I love it. All right. Well, let's wrap it up. This one kind of touches near and dear to my heart and will send me into the garage to get that Spider-Man noir cosplay that has been sitting there for about 5 years. But we've known for a while that Nicolas Cage is making, I was thinking about this morning. This is the first live action Spider-Man television production since the 1970s. Since the Electric Company plus The Amazing Spider-Man with Nicholas Hammond, which was on ABC.
Yes.
And neither one of them exist anywhere except for a few spotty clips on YouTube. The first television production since that time. Now, Spider-Man Noir, which rolled out in, I think, the late aughts, I think maybe 07 or I think 2009. And I followed it since that time. I'm a huge fan. It's yet another world in the Spider-Verse where Peter Parker is a hard-boiled newspaper reporter in the 1930s in New York City in the Depression era. The character was immortalized in the animated Spider-Man Spider-Verse films in the last decade by none other than Mr. Nicolas Cage. And now he's taken it to the next step. Now he's going to be Peter Parker, obviously a much older Peter Parker, because how old is Nicolas Cage? He's got to be 60.
85 years old.
That's Todd's favorite fake number, 85.
Yes,
so it's the go-to, just like mine is 47. But yes, Cage is, it's funny, some photos were published, thanks to TMZ, of the fully dudded up Spider Noir. And Cage is obviously not wearing the suit in the pictures, which makes sense because he's standing on top of
He's
the car.
60.
Yeah, he's 60. Called it. Yeah, because the first big thing he was ever in, and it wasn't even big, it was background, was Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and that was 1982, I think. So anyway,
yeah.
He's not a younger guy. But this is an Amazon Prime show, I believe, in production.
Yeah, everything's coming up Amazon.
I guess. Yeah, I'm looking for a little bit more details on here on when we might see it. I'm feeling like it could be 2025 if it's this deep. I'm continuing to scrolling. Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Noir,
no date, no premiere date.
And
yeah,
it is called Spider Noir, not Spider-Man Noir. Just to clarify,
Spider Noir is like Spider Gwen.
Yeah,
Mr. Noir,
which is hilarious.
Spider Noir.
The Spider Gwen character has a secret identity, so no one calls her Spider Gwen. It's an inside joke for us.
Just call me Spider Todd. You'll never guess who I am.
You better believe it.
Yep. It's set in. Yeah, I'll give you a little bit about the show. It's set in 1930s New York City. The show will feature Nicolas Cage, obviously, and Lamorne Morris, who will star as Robbie Robertson, a journalist who fans will recognize as the Spider-Man comic book character, and Brendan Gleeson, who's been amazing, Oscar winner, I believe.
Is he JJ?
He is. Yeah, no, he's playing a character called mob boss called the Philosopher. So don't know anything about him. And then some of the other actors in this: Lee Jun Lee. Abraham Popula. Look at anybody else in this. Oh, Lucas Haas. Wow, that's a deep cut. Yeah. And other than that, we do have a ton of executive producers behind this. So
great. Too many.
I hope this is good. I hope this is good, though.
Yeah, I hear you. We shall see. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, no production date. But if they're making it now, fingers crossed for this time next year.
2025 fall.
Yeah. There we go.
Makes sense.
I look forward to it. To give me a chance to let my Spider-Man freak flag fly. All right. Well, that is it for the news. Todd, I've got my Fuber app out, my Feeble Uber app. We've got to order that gnarly cab that we take every single time down to Scugville, Nasty Town. The Geek Easy awaits. The cab pulls up, belching smoke out the top, indescribably disgusting smell on the inside. But the AM radio is on, and it's playing this song.
Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencastr. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencastr because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code SFU1. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, cover bands playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. So I watched an episode of a new comedy on Max. It's called The Franchise. This show is really going to be good. I can just feel it. It's like what you get a feel for a show. The Franchise is it's set in the UK, and the premise is they're making a superhero film based on this franchise. It's all made up. This is based on Marvel, but basically this is all about the insanity of making a big superhero franchise film. A lot of the cast is a lot of unknowns. You won't know. Although I think one of the actors played the female Nazi on The Boys. Trying to remember her name.
Ava something or other.
Yeah, I think that I thought that was who was in the TV show. It's got a lot of actors, when you see them, you're like, oh, okay, I know who that person is. Right. But it's great because it's about it's got Daniel Bruhl as like a German director who's brought in to direct this thing.
Oh, boy.
You've got like the producers, you've got the assistants, you've got the meddling creator who basically created all the series and the toy line. And so he's meddling. Then you got a producer and you got Hollywood, and it's all behind the scenes. And the characters are very coming off each other, and it's very funny. The actors are great, playing like the actors within it. You see the background of them making it. So it's essentially it's like 30 Rock, but with a superhero film. So just imagine that. It is really good. I don't know how many episodes are on Max. It just started. Episode 1 is fantastic. It's about 40 minutes long. Very good. I give it a high rating of funny. And when you see what the characters are like and what they're building, it's good. Check out the Franchise.
And the good news is Todd has watched the first episode and told you because he won't watch the rest. I'm just kidding. Todd.
It's a lie. I will watch more.
Tell me how many episodes?
I don't know yet.
It just come out? Oh, okay.
It just came out. It's like on the new on Max list, so you'll see it right there if you go to the app. So you won't be able to miss it, and that's what it's all about.
All right.
And then, Charlie, we both saw Venom: The Last Dance.
It's and we're teasing it. We're going to tease it.
It's kind of a teaser. We'll talk about it. But I will say this about Venom: The Last Dance. This is the third film in the franchise. It picks up right after that scene, the scene of the end of Venom where he's like gets sucked through the wormhole, and it is essentially bringing in the character of Null as the bad guy.
And kind of bringing him in.
It's really a road trip for Venom and Eddie as we find out more about this. It's got Juno Temple with. All I would say is she made a decision on how to act. It was an interesting decision. And then other than that, if you like the Venom films, you'll like this. If you don't like the Venom films, I don't know why you would see this. That's all I'll say.
But Todd, I went to go see it, but we'll talk about that next week.
You didn't have to. You could have. I could have just taken the bullet for Charlie.
Oh well, yeah, that's what I did. Did you end up going to see the Joker? Because I won't see that.
I have not. I'll see it when it's on Max.
Yeah, I see what I mean. And who knows? I might as well. All right. Well, let me grab the baton here. So I had no idea that this show was going to be. Oh, and we didn't watch the second episode. I put in there episodes 1 and 2, but it was only episode 1 because we got distracted watching something else. But there was a show about a year ago called Spec Ops Lioness on Paramount Plus. It is a Taylor Sheridan joint. I know how much Todd loves Taylor Sheridan. The good news is Todd, Yellowstone is coming back and it is ending. It comes back next month, and then you'll never have to hear about it again because I don't believe the other spinoff, which was left with 1923 with Harrison Ford, was left on a cliffhanger. I've heard nothing about it coming back.
I've heard lots of rumors, Charlie, that certain actors are going to come in, fill voids, and there's going to be the Yellowstone franchise will never die. Like The Walking Dead.
Well, speaking of never dying, the show popped up. It stars Zoe Saldana as the lead. She's an FBI field specialist, crazy badass, and she is tapped with a mission to rescue a United States congresswoman who is kidnapped in Texas by a Mexican cartel, snuck back over the border. And so Zoe has to hook up with a group comprised of some of the regulars of the series, but someone who I think is a new character played by Taylor Sheridan. He loves to be in his own stuff. Yeah, Taylor Sheridan it's funny.
How did he get the role? I created the show just so I could be on TV.
He did. He's a very grizzled looking dude. He very much looks like a kind of a Texas rancher with the leathery skin and the big muscles and all that. Something that I found out about him when Yellowstone first came on and I was kind of checking out his works. He got one of his very early roles was in an episode of Star Trek Enterprise where he played some random alien with, weird insects. And I don't even know if he had a speaking role, but he was one of 3 aliens that took over the ship and they wanted to make a sacrifice for some weird religion they belonged to. So
was it all about a ranch? It was a space ranch.
What's funny, that was in the 3rd season of Enterprise, and there was a space ranch episode of that, but it wasn't the same one.
Yeehaw.
But anyway, very exciting episode. A lot of run and gun, rescuing, and then getting chased by the Federales and having to drive a vehicle into the Rio Grande. It's very exciting. But yeah, it's the first of this returning series. The 2nd episode is out there too. I thought we were going to watch it. We didn't, so I'll have to remember that one.
Yeah, they've been advertising that on basically if you watch any NFL games, it's been advertised quite a bit.
That's the key market. So I'd recommend that. I'd love that. And again, that was a show that I thought was kind of one and done, but never heard anything about it until it's coming back. Now, Todd, you and I talked about Carved over on Hulu.
Yes.
Have you watched it?
Well, I was thinking about it because I like a good kind of goofy, spooky, hammy type of Halloween film. But you said don't watch it.
I love that you said good because it's not good. I love that you said hammy because it's hammy. Pumpkin. What do they call pumpkin and ham? Hammy pumpkin pie. And goofy.
They don't call ham and pumpkin anything.
No, there's an end of the episode. No. Ham and pumpkin. I know.
Ham and pumpkin goes together.
Now I sound like a certain political candidate who you're not sure is from planet Earth. Sorry.
You gonna start dancing for a half hour?
Okay, I'm gonna stop that right now.
That.
Yeah, Todd, I can tell you unequivocally there is nothing charming about this. It's disgusting. The violence is completely unnecessary. You don't care about any of the characters. They try real hard to shoehorn in some, I feel bad for this character, or I feel bad for this character. It's god awful. Sorry. Doesn't mean you shouldn't watch it, because this is one dude's take. And if you have Hulu and you've got a few days left of spooky season, you want to get in something new, it's an option. I still haven't watched the Apartment 7A with
I know there's too much. Yeah. Too much.
There is too much, but yeah, because there's too much, it doesn't mean you have to try to watch everything. This was terrible.
So is it like tongue in cheek, goofy, like trying to be funny?
No, I just think it's trying to be brutally violent. We're talking about beheadings, stabbings, decapitation. Well, I already said decapitation, but limbs being chopped off. It was awful. It was really awful.
Eats that for a Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know what? If you really want to go more in that direction, go see Terrifier. It's as the Terrific Lady, our host in week 1 of Shocktober told us, that's where it's at. But yeah, I think, and again, for no reason, it's also set in the past. It's set in the 1993.
It's another. I got it. Yep.
So yeah, everybody's hopping on that trend because like Hysteria, which was over on Peacock, 1989.
Absolutely.
And it's like, but that had a purpose to it because it was looping in with a satanic panic at that time, and it made sense for the story. Yeah. This being said, in 1993, there was no big pumpkin emergency in 1993, at least not that I'm aware of. You know what I mean?
1993. I'm trying to think. Was there any spooky songs? The Devil Went Down up to Detroit was I think playing on the radio.
Oh yeah, that one. That's just life in Detroit, especially in the 90s, before the Renaissance. So my strongest recommendation is to steer away and go watch Apartment 7A over on Paramount Plus. All right, finally, Todd, you talked. Was it last week? It would have been last week because the movie only came out on October.
Smile 2.
Smile 2. Yeah, we went and saw it last night. I would love to have seen it last week when it came out, but we had the reunion and everything that we were going to. Smile 1, which we turned around and watched when we came home because that is available on Paramount Plus, came out in 2022. Sosie Bacon, who is the daughter of Kevin Bacon and Kira Sedgwick, was the star, along with of Smile 1, and kind of set the tone of a malevolent presence that travels between people at the moment of death from the infected to a recipient who is then traumatized by watching someone die in front of them. So really, it has endless possibilities never to end. Well, naturally, there is a sequel, and which was then dubbed, it was interesting, Todd, I don't know if it was part of your screening, but the star of the film, Naomi Scott, who's a lovely British woman, and the star of this film comes on and says, I'm so excited to be a part of this installment of the Smile
universe. Yes.
Yeah, which I'm like, a second film dubs a universe.
Yes.
But no, it's very interesting. So Naomi Scott, who I didn't realize was Jasmine in the Aladdin film that came out 5 years ago.
Oh, really?
She was the Pink Ranger in 2017's Power Rangers.
Okay.
Didn't know that. And we watched half of the first episode, and I got bored and turned it off, of Terra Nova, which was a Fox show back in 2011.
Oh.
She was the precocious teenage daughter. But anyway, I read up on her. She's super talented. All the singing she does in the film is really her. So she plays a very Lady Gaga-esque pop star. Who is recovering after a year of being in a nearly fatal car crash, also has a wicked addiction to drugs and alcohol, and she's making a comeback, but she comes from rough roots where she has an overbearing mother, and there's a dark secret behind her car crash, which killed her fiance, who was a famous actor, played by the son of Jack Nicholson, by the way. I had heard he was involved. But yeah, Ray Nicholson, I believe, was the actor who played the dead boyfriend. But what happens is that in a direct continuation from the previous film, there is a death which terrifies a young drug dealer who then is also associated with this famous pop star who's looking for a couple of extra Vicodin, even though she's on the wagon. She's sober. She has a terrible back injury, and so she needs some drugs. And she goes to see this dude, and he is in the throes of the final phase of the smile, and he ends up passing it on to her after a pretty horrific suicide scene. I mean, it was hinted about very strongly in the trailer, but to see it executed was pretty bad.
It was rough.
Yeah, it kills himself with a weight that you would use like on a bench press. Pretty rough. And then you follow it. It probably was 2 hours and 7 minutes, which I don't know, for you seemed like it was maybe 20 to 30 minutes too long, because the first film was an hour and 55. So maybe it was just 10 minutes too long. I don't know. Do you feel like do you think the time was well used as she goes? I think so. Nuts? Yeah.
I think it prolonged. It's like, when is this going to end? And it did feel like, and that I think it puts you in their shoes of like, wow, It's prolonging that horrific experience. And there was a couple of moments in this film like, oh no, oh no, oh no, what?
Right. And to find out, and again, there's a lot of speculation out there, and we'll be lightly spoilery, but articles out there saying that a good portion of the film entirely takes place in the mind of the character. It's not real.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's the whole point of the smile thing makes you feel like what you're seeing is real. It's not. And then then it's like, what is it all coming together? And Charlie, there is a couple of moments, especially, I'll just call it out to you, and people can, since they haven't seen it, maybe won't notice, but the texting made me know that something is not right here, because when I saw the text screen, I'm like, okay, that hasn't happened. So maybe I'm like, yep, I think we're in this. And like, I don't know if everybody else picked that up or not, but I'm like, yep. Something's going on.
There was the one connection where she had somebody involved, and then later on that same character reaches out and says, we haven't talked in a year. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty crazy. So, the first film, I'm not going to spoil the ending, but it's not hard to figure out that the Smile virus, if it's a franchise, it's going to continue on.
It's like it follows.
The way they wrap it up, as far as the smile creature entity being passed on, I think was pretty inventive. I will say, and this echoes back to the Taken movie, the M. Night Shyamalan movie we saw a couple of months ago.
Oh, Trap.
Trap. There you go. When you have a ingenue pop star and they have to have original songs for it, hire somebody who can write a song. These songs were not as bad as the one from Shyamalan, or not as bad as the one Lady Gaga did back in A Star Is Born, a couple of years back. But I thought they were especially bad.
I thought they were just what they were supposed to be, Charlie. I mean, a lot of it is just throwaway pop, and that's to me, I'm not Charlie. We are about 30 years past that demographic, so our opinion on it, Yes.
No,
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
so?
The Swifties.
It's not for,
Very well for the Swifties at this point.
not for white guys pushing 50. Okay, fine.
No, it's definitely it's for your grandchildren at this point, Charlie. You'd be old enough to have grandchildren to be into it. One of the things I thought was clever, I loved the opening sequence of this film. I thought it was amazing.
Oh boy,
it was really good because it made you feel like it was a different take of a film. But then where it went, it was like, okay, we're in there. And then the end of this movie, where it goes, what it means, I'm like, opens up so many doors for a universe, like they said.
Right. And like I said, we've done our best to kind of keep it spoiler free ish. This movie is out now. It's doing about break-even business, I think, because I think the budget was maybe in the maybe high 20s, and it's maybe posting about 60. So yeah, break-even-ish. I mean,
if you make 3 times your budget, that's a very profitable film.
I was just doubling it up, but yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, it's very satisfactory. I have every reason to believe the theater had a lot of people in it. Even for a 5 o'clock on a Saturday, a week after it came out. So, I don't know if you're looking it up, but I hope it's doing well. It was. I found it to be very enjoyable. So yeah, I would get my recommendation. And Smile, the first one, is available on. Where the hell did we watch it? On Paramount Plus.
It's made $34 million as of Friday the 25th. And that's just domestic. It's doing well overseas. So not too bad.
Oh, gotcha. We'll keep trucking along. So, all right. Well, that takes us up out of the Geek Easy. Not paying the bill again because I saw the guy spit in my burger. I don't know, Todd. Why do we keep coming back here? I don't know. See, you don't know.
I don't know. It's the only place your feeble Uber app can take us, apparently.
You think I should switch over to regular Uber? Sorry, but at any rate, I have my phone out again. I do have my Air Qantas app open. That one's at least reputable. It's time for us to get down to the land down under, where Hologram Tina and the mutants are waiting for us to wrap up Shocktober 2024 with an absolutely incredible film, Late Night with the Devil. Let's go.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome.
Thank you, Tina. This is week 5, our final destination in the world of Shocktober. Our movie this week is Late Night with the Devil. We watched this. You could watch this on Hulu, Disney Plus, Shudder as well. This movie was released on the independent circuit in 2023, but got officially released in 2024.
That's right.
Yep. Its box office is about $15 million, and it's done very well considering it's an indie movie on an indie budget. Not a lot of major actors you'd know except for the lead. And it was done on a very small budget to be shown independently. But the fact that it's got a Hulu release, that's pretty awesome. And this movie, basically the premise is a live television broadcast in 1977 goes horribly wrong, unleashing evil into the nation's living rooms. Director Colin Carnes, and writers, both on, so I believe brothers. That's kind of cool. It's brothers making this. Actors that you would know. David Dalmatian playing Jack Delroy, the lead character. Laura Gordon playing June Ross Mitchell. And then other than that, couldn't really tell you any of the other actors, but very good actors, but less known than I think most people would know.
Right. And you do have, if you look up in your production box, this was made in United States, Australia, and the United Arab Emirates overseas over there in Saudi Arabia. So interesting story.
No, actually, that's not production. Those are places it was released.
Oh, places it was. When I saw countries, I thought production.
No, it's where it was released. Yeah.
And maybe that's where why the cast is so kind of also ran. But really, I didn't think it had anything to do with it not being a great film. So starting off, as you and I had said, this was made by like literally 10 different production houses. And I was harkened back to the great Family Guy bit where Peter's sitting in a movie watching these, like, plane flying over the field one, like, and he was like, okay, well, this is the last one. I literally said that when April and I were sitting here. I'm like, this has got to be the last one. And it's like, Barking Dog Productions, or it's Man Looking Over Field Studios Incorporated, so what's the deal with that? I mean, was this because it was an indie film? It was just super cobbled together with, "Hey, I'm chipping in $10 to your production." Chipping in
a lot of the times you do
production.
get that because you get basically like you get somebody who handles this part of the production, somebody who and then it's like, oh, I got this distribution deal, or I'm one of the creators, so I have a production house. So you then like everybody across the sun, because I mean, like, oh, here he goes. I'll tell you all of the production companies.
Yes,
Image Nation. Abu Dhabi, Vic Screen, AGC Studios, Cinetic Media, Good Fiend Films, Future Pictures, and Spooky Pictures. This was distributed by IFC Films, Shudder, Umbrella Entertainment, Maslow Entertainment, and Ahi Films in Australia. So basically, had 3 companies just to distribute this from the US, in the United UAE and Australia. Yeah. So I mean, it's a lot to get this happening, and
So it was wild. So that made me chuckle, made me think of that Family Guy bit, which I feel like we should post that when we do this video. But so where do we begin?
So the premise of this film, it starts off really cool because it's essentially a documentary about the background of this main character, Jack Delroy, who breaks in to become a late night TV show host. He does The Night Owl. It's the name of his show. It's syndicated, and his goal is to become like the next Johnny Carson. They even talk about Johnny Carson, which is really cool.
A lot, yeah.
And has the aesthetic of a 70s, night of a talk show, and it talks about his background, everything that went on with Jack over some of the
6 years.
His relationship with his wife, the fact that she passes away, and then he also has this loose association with a secret group. What was it called? The name of the secret group.
The Tall Pines or something. It was a bunch of rich weirdos that went into the redwoods in California, and there were rumors of performing arcane different ceremonies and people running around in weird costumes, and so they worked that into this first portion of the film, which is like 10 minutes of them saying, it starts in 1971, and he was a radio personality from Chicago, and he worked his way up, and it's one of these, is it a deal with the devil? Why is he's getting more and more popular? But he's right at the point where he's neck and neck with Carson, and he's just and he's losing share, trying to get ahead. It's so funny to think of this time, 50, almost, going on 50 years ago, when things like this were, ratings, and oh God, I got to get half a point higher than so and so. So I can sell ads to blah blah blah. Where now the world is streaming and network TV is dying. Sorry for anybody out there who's listening. Who I used to be a part of that world. I'm glad I'm not anymore, and I hope you find your way because it's kind of.
I'm guessing Charlie, they know at this point. They're like, wait, it's dying. What is going on?
Sorry. Here, wait. Here's your screen cap of me.
Yeah, and there wasn't many competitors. I mean, there were competitors, Johnny Carson, but not many, and they didn't last. So that was a big thing. So it was just great that was grounded in a background that made sense. You kind of made it feel a little real. Like if you actually didn't read about any of this, you're like, oh, is this real? And it was the premise of basically this is a documentary about one night on this show in 1977, and it basically was capturing all the behind the scenes. And Jack had come back from his I guess you'd call it sabbatical, because his wife had passed away, came back to the show, and he'd like, I've got to do whatever I can to get my ratings up, and he has something in mind to make this big. So he has a Halloween show, and It's kind of like set up like you would. He's got a sidekick, a band. He's plays with the audience, and David Dalmatian is amazing in this. I mean, he is so polished, so smooth.
I had no idea, because we've always seen him in these B roles where he's one of the Joker's goons in The Dark Knight. He was part of the gang in the Ant-Man films. You know what I mean? He's just been bits and pieces.
Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga. He was in the Suicide Squad. He was Polka Dot Guy or Man in the second Suicide Squad. But it's a cool format. It apes a little bit of like the Blair Witch Project. It's found footage that came from the archives of this fake TV network, UTB or something. And so the colorized portions of what you see are what aired on TV that night. And what's black and white is what happened when, they would go to commercial break and, Jack Delroy would go backstage and he has a scumbag manager who's chewing his ear off about this thing and that thing. Yeah. So the program starts, they do the regular vamping and his first guest is this psychic medium who's what's the name of the character I scrolled Christu, who's like, he approaches a mother and an adult daughter in the audience and talks through this, yeah.
Well, the first one, he goes and gets somebody, he's trying to get the name, and it becomes like a joke. Like the guy from the audience, it's like, oh, what's your name? And like, I'm hearing this, and I'm like, talk to him. And basically then you see Christo kind of getting pissed off because the guy is basically riffing with Jack and going back and forth. So I'm like, oh, is this going to go badly? What's going on? And so then, he tries it again, like, oh, the spirits are back. And to your point, he talks to a mother and a daughter, and that leads to more of a relevant kind of conversation about his powers and abilities.
Right. Exactly. So he's, telling this about, hey, your deceased son and this and that, and the woman's crying. Now, I'm trying to remember. Meanwhile, the person who's also come out onto the stage has been your sycophant, big jerk, Mythbuster guy.
Carmichael Haig. He is basically, he's like, he reminds me of like the Amazing Randy. Remember that guy? Yeah. He would be on all the talk shows. Basically, he would try to debunk all of like the psychics and all those people. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Correct. So Christu comes back and sits down, and Carm is kind of chewing his ass and giving a hard time. And Christu is continuing to cough, and he looks very dismayed, and he collapses. And then they cut to commercial break, and he has to be rushed away.
He does more than collapse, Charlie. He spouts black ooze on Carmichael's jacket out into the crowd,
right?
And like, holy crap! And then
it's live TV.
Yeah, Carmichael Haig is on there. Basically, he's going to say, like, I will pay $100,000. Got a check if you prove to me that this is real. And then Christu's like, I'm not going to entertain you and your money. And that's when he has his breakdown.
Right.
They then take him to get medical assistance.
Right. So he's out of the picture. And again, this is where we're cutting back and forth between the broadcast and the behind the scenes stuff. So they come back from commercial break. Carm is still sitting there. The main attraction is going to come up. Todd, what's going on?
So this is where we do get another bit of a documentary. So basically, Jack is like, this is where he's really excited about bringing out this guest. So he basically says, please watch. And we get like a little pseudo documentary about
kind of
June Ross Mitchell, who is she's a parapsychologist. And she talks, basically it's about this cult that has kidnapped children, and they're very satanic. And she ended up rescuing one of the survivors, and it was from this. I'm trying to remember what the name of the cult was. It was
Amarak or something like that.
Okay, here it is. So basically, June introduces Lily, who is this girl who was the sole survivor of mass suicide by a satanic church, and its leader Xandor Diabo, who worshipped Abraxas. So that's kind of like the premise of this.
Right.
So they bring out Lily, who the whole goal of this is Jack wants to do essentially a live exorcism kind of connection with
seance, really, just get her to speak from beyond the grave.
Yeah, with Lily, who has this creature called Mr. Wriggles inside her, as she said.
Rob Riggle.
Yeah, Rob Riggle. So kind of like, we've had other characters where they talk about like something else inside of them, a spirit. Mr. Howdy. Is that one of was it Captain Howdy? It was Shining.
I thought it was Captain Jack, or he was like, "It was inside my mouth."
I thought it was Captain Howdy was the name of the character.
Could be. Well, and then I was also thinking about like from the Exorcist. She had a little friend who was, Captain something or other. Now I can't remember, but yeah, it's just a child who is, like, oh, this is my
Pazuzu. from The Exorcist named Captain Howdy.
There we go, from The Exorcist. Well, what was what was the one in The Shining then? His little finger friend.
Ooh,
was it Timmy or Tommy or something?
I think so. The kid's name, I think. Yeah.
Exactly. Captain Howdy. There you go. All right. So they've watched the little docu-film, and then they bring out June, who is very strongly implied in the times in between, has been carrying on with Jack off camera.
Or has an attraction to him. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So which probably obviously occurred from getting all this set up. And then they bring out Lily, and Lily is your very prototypical creepy girl in a horror movie. Her eyes are all over the place. She doesn't know where to look.
She's wearing like a romper. She kind of comes back, and the way she speaks, it's very.
And she talks to Jack. She's like, "Hello, Jack." She like just does not sound like a human being.
Yes,
you know. And that's gonna be kind of pivotal as we move through this here. So they sit down for the first portion of it, and then Carmichael is still he's to the stage right, left. He is to Dalmatian's left, and he's just sitting here like this, making if you can see me on YouTube, just starts poking holes in this young girl as she's talking, and you can tell the young girl is just even at her level of detachment, she's getting irritated with this guy because he's a jackass.
She even calls him out, like, "Why are you so mean?" And it's interesting because we do get the show's done like a real show where you get the segments where Jack will pull them away to do a commercial break. You get all the interstitials, which are awesome as well. And you do get a lot of behind the scenes what's going on. So at this point, you do get some background knowledge from the sidekick who's getting a little nervous about what's going on.
Right.
And you obviously get more connection with Jack and his manager, who is basically saying, "Hey, this is going on." And along the way, I think, is this when we find out what happened to Christou?
So they have the interstitial, and they're like, Christou was on his way to the hospital, and he coded out in the ambulance. You know, he had an aneurysm or something, and we're like, keep it quiet because it would be bad if this got around, and we don't, you know. So it's just very hush hush, creepy. Like, this guy's just died, but we're doing a show, so I don't really want to mess with that. Yeah. And then back on camera. And another one of these interstitials right around that same time is when you see Jack and the lady doctor giving you a have we or haven't we kind of vibe because they've grown close during the process of getting all of this set up.
Yeah, and very fearful. And this is based on a book that she wrote, and that's Jack found out about this and wanted to do this. And she's getting fearful that Lily, she said, Lily is regressing, and I don't think we can do this. She gets she's getting cold feet to do this. And Jack continues like, "Hey, this is good for everyone to know this happens," and making her case known. It's good for her. So he's kind of twisting it because he wants what he wants, but he also wants to make sure June, I guess, gets her courage back. So that leads us back to break, where it's really cool because I love how they do the camera work like you would have gotten a show from the 70s. So the scene is set. You've got Lily and June there, smoke, and then Jack comes into the spotlight and says, "And now, blah, blah, blah." And it's like, oh, I like how they're doing this.
Yeah. Nailed it. So we get to the point back from break where the seance portion is going to take place. So we come downstage and to the side. We have Lily sitting in a chair in restraints around her wrist for her own protection, with June sitting across from her, speaking to her because, again, June and Lily have this mother-daughter connection because, for a number of years, June has been responsible for her mental health and has taken her in, and their family, as June says later on. And she begins speaking to Lily, and Lily's head drops and her long hair drops in front of her face. And, this is very classic exorcist poltergeist kind of thing happening. And she starts grunting and groaning, and she looks up and her eyes are a different color. Her face is starting to show scars and scratches, and she's speaking in that scary demon voice. What kind of stuff does she say?
Oh, very horrible things. She spouts F words, and which this is on network TV, and there are certain words you can never say. So
she drops the first F, and I think subsequent ones get bleeped. So it's kind of funny. Yeah, it's kind of like, okay,
live sensors, things like that. I think that's why tape delay came back. So then she basically highlights that, June thinks Jack is handsome, and she's looking at Jack and speaking to him. And you get a feeling that something else is going on. There's references to certain situations with Jack not being on the up and up with his wife. And it becomes a very unique thing. And something we forgot to mention earlier was Christu, basically the first person he mentioned was a Minnie that turned into Mandy, which turned into Peterman. Jack turned it around and said, actually, that was me. My ring, unmarried man with a ring on his finger, a wife named Mandy, and all that stuff. And so basically, it was his way to give credence to Christu. So because he's trying to elevate this and actually build, a little conflict between Carmichael and Christu as well, which I thought was good. It's good TV. Yeah. So we've got similar things going on that we then see Lily essentially raise off the ground.
She's levitating and growling and snarling.
In shackles. And June essentially brings forward kind of like some terms, like almost like, things you do in an exorcism.
Yeah, she pulls out a necklace and she's like, blah, 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 and she's talking a bunch of...
It was a little different, like calling out demons. And that eventually... but when she's physically transformed and she looks, pale, sunken eyes and bad skin, and her voice is... But she eventually falls, and then that's it. They basically cut to commercial, give Lily a chance.
Lily's okay. She's back to normal. They're coming to kind of undo the restraints. And this is the next crazy part. So they've gone to break, and there's another interstitial.
June doesn't want to stay, though. June doesn't want to stay, but Lily does. So they do sit her down. They sit down. They ask Carm, hey, what do you think of that? I mean, are you ready to write your check? He's like, no, it's stagecraft. And, basically very, very much,
very dismissive. Yeah.
He thinks he can dismiss it. So that takes us to our next sequence where Carm basically says, hey, now it's my time to show something where we can basically say, I can also do these things too. And he sets, basically, it's the same thing. The two chairs. Gus, the sidekick. The two chairs are there. The smoke comes through. And once again, David Dalmatian as Jack makes a joke. So kind of keeping the, this is still a talk show. It's still funny. I'm still going to try to be the guy that's in control, makes sides. And then we get Carm, who then brings out a stopwatch or a pocket watch and proceeds to hypnotize everyone.
Right. Exactly. And in doing this, you get kind of a crazy sequence where Gus, who has a phobia about earthworms, suddenly feels one coming out of a cut in his neck. And then he opens his chest and tears his own chest open, very disgusting, and a worm pours out of it. And then a huge worm pokes out of his eye socket, which reminds me of something we talked about earlier, but that would be a spoiler in a different movie that we were talking about. And then Christu snaps his finger, and Gus is totally fine. And they said,
he has a phrase, like he says, awaken now or something like that.
And he says, let's see the instant replay. And they pull it back. Gus executes all the same motion. He touches his chest. He opens his shirt. He lurches forward, but there's nothing wrong with him. Nothing happened. So it was all hypnotism. But everybody in the audience saw it too.
Everyone believed it. Yeah. Some people said they didn't. Right. Some people did. Yeah. And but at first it was interesting because Carm tried to, didn't work. And then he tried it again and it did wake everyone up.
Yeah.
So, and then a lot of people say, well, I saw the worms. So that basically then continues on a path of, this is where the series goes off the rails.
It's gone.
Yeah. This is where it goes full in. So they wanted to look at the footage of Lily, and then it was interesting at that point because they were looking frame by frame, which I didn't know you could do this, quite honestly, on live TV. But they were showing what was happening during Lily's sequence. You did see her change, and then you did see Dimension said, slow it down, and then you see behind him is the spirit of his wife, dead wife,
with a hand on his shoulder. Exactly.
Yeah. And Carm says, "Yeah, it was all of you. You see what you did? You did the thing with Christu where you wanted to call it your wife, and then you had this." And he's like, "You did it all for ratings, and it's all a ruse." And this is where it goes entirely wrong.
Just go ahead and turn it off. Now, what is, jog my memory? What lights the fire? What sets it off?
It was basically Harm really starts pushing buttons. And this is where, basically at this point we get Lily becomes possessed again. Right. So,
and unfortunately, Gus has walked over in the commercial break and taken a chair to the left of Carm. So we have Gus, Carm, Dalmatian, Lily, and then the doctor on the far side.
Yep. So then this is the moment where it gets crazy. Lily stands up. She's sparkling with like electricity.
And there's electricity running along the rafters in the studio. Everything is lighting up. It's nuts.
Absolutely. And then her head just opens up. It is so weird.
Well, her eye sockets are. It looks like the freeze frame of the video they were looking at. So her head is opened up. There's electricity spouting out, and her head becomes like a square with almost her head split open, almost like horns. Like her head. Yeah, it's completely nuts. And then. And again, the premise of the film is that this was airing. Nobody turned it off. It takes a while. They do eventually turn it off. But during the time, if I can describe this to you, the first thing happens is that Gus, remember he's to the far left, pulls out his Christ of the Cross and says, "The power of Christ compels you." And Lily nods at him, and his head snaps 90 degrees. He's dead. Falls down flat. Carm stands up, clearly terrified, pulls that check out of his jacket and offers it. It bursts into flames, and then he bursts into flames.
Well, he decides, like, I'm going to be on Team Satan. Please, Satan, please accept me into your cult. And he
just emoliates just very slowly. Now, the saddest part is because, Gus was sad because he was a good guy. Carm, not so much. Yeah. But Lily, the doctor who was to Lily's right, also has her necklace out, which worked earlier because that's how she talked Lily out of the fugue earlier. Lily uses her powers, whips the chain around backwards, yanks Lily into the air, pulling on this is, I wear a neck chain too, and I wouldn't like to think that would happen to me, but pulls it hard enough. Charlie. Yeah, I guess, but pulls it hard enough to, I don't know that it decapitates her. I can't remember, but it slit her throat.
Definitely.
And so she's bleeding out while levitating. And Dalmatian has run for the open stage door.
Well, he gets swung across thrown across stage, and then he's watching it. I'm like, get the hell out of there. And he finally does leave, and
he thinks he leaves. Then we jump into his mind. So this is clearly not, or maybe it's happening in his mind, but obviously what's being broadcast, Satan is controlling your TV, because you see him go through a sequence where he's having memories of the weird California pine tree cult that he was a part of, and a guy in a big owl mask, and
Diabo's there. So we do find out that, because you do get this feeling like there's a connection between Jack and Lily that has not been brought forward. And then you do find out basically he's involved in this cult.
Right.
Kind of like, this is how he got a success. And now it's come full circle where they want something of him. And maybe this is the devil was due, and he had to bring Lily forth to be in front of TV.
Exactly. So he's having this sequence. He's then by his wife's bedside, or her deathbed. And she is, and who knows if this is what really happened, but she pleads with him to euthanize her. So he has a giant knife, slides it into her chest to take her out of her misery. And then we cut back to real time where the big blade has actually slid into Lily's chest. He has killed her on live television. And then it cuts to technical difficulties. They have that old
and it starts dripping and and you do see that all those deaths that Lily caused did happen. So it wasn't so we do know that Jack didn't split a guy's head around. So you do know that all those things happened and Lily was killed as well, which I don't know if that was he killed Lily as a last act to
that was the human sacrifice.
Maybe that was where he finally said, okay, I've done horrible things and now I'm going to try to make it right. Don't know. You don't.
Yeah, you're right.
know.
That really, because again, the Abraxas cult really focused heavily on human sacrifice. In the little doco film we saw, they said, well, women were bred for children, for sacrifice. So this could really have been the fulfillment of a pact with Abraxas. That she was supposed to be sacrificed, but was rescued because the way the Abraxas cult ended is the guy set his own compound on fire and and everybody died except for this young girl. Then we cut out and that's it, man. That is, because again, is framing it in the premise that this is live broadcast, it's weird. And it's kind of movie logic that, well, if all the stuff was really happening, that's when they would have shut it off. But perhaps the power of the devil wouldn't allow them to do it until the devil had, Elvis has left the building. You know what I mean? The devil was out of there after Lily died because she was the sacrifice. It's funny. It harkens back kind of the whole, Freddy foreshadowing thing. Lily does say at one point earlier in the film when Jack is speaking to her on camera, well, Jack, you're going to be very famous.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely. So, and then we get this, that's it, man. That's what they had. Wow.
It's a surprising movie. It's a new movie, which is great because we've had some movies that, quite honestly, we've had a little bit of a few misses this year with Shocktober.
We did. And again, the whole premise of Shocktober, if you've listened to us for a long time or not very long, is that Todd comes up with a list. He shares it with me. It's ostensibly films that neither one of us has seen, so we can experience it as kind of a new thing. And and this year I picked a couple of, kind of old clunky ones that I hadn't seen before, because my pick was the Drag Me to Hell in the Fog, and then I ended up missing a week. What do we have last week? It was another.
We had Return of the Living Dead, which was a fun kind of goofy film,
and that was one I had seen bits and pieces of, but I didn't really know anything about it. Where this was a 180 from any of those films. This was extremely serious. I thought it was very well made, even though it was made by 98 different production companies, which is just so bizarre. This is wild. This is one of the most engaging films I feel like I've seen in a very long time. I was sucked in. We live in this age where if you're watching something at home, I'm playing a game on my phone or I'm on my laptop or I'm doing, my ADD is raging, which it does with me. I was glued to the TV for this one. I didn't miss it, even though I don't remember things so crystal clear all the time. Like, well, what happened then? I was really stuck to it. It was totally crazy. This was without a doubt a 10 out of 10 for me. This was spectacular. Best, most engaging horror film, I feel like, if not that I've ever seen, that I've seen in a very long time. This was
it feels like a horror classic.
Favorite.
Yeah. Which is great that we get movies like this that just come up and like, oh yeah, I get it. And definitely leaves a mark. And that's really amazing. So we'll be back for Shocktober 2025. And we're always looking for suggestions if there's movies that I'll add on the list. But we do try to have it a little bit like we'll do a little bit of old, a little new.
I'll try to remember that in my selecting to keep it clear, the corniest of all. But that's the show, folks. So thanks for engaging with us for Shocktober. And boy, episode 497, we're coming up on the big 500. And as far as what that's going to look like, we got to figure that out. But I'm excited. We're now 10 plus years doing this show, which is totally insane. It's as long as I've done about anything. Besides being married to my beloved April, this is as long as I've ever been.
We haven't divorced. We haven't killed each other. It's still happening.
Yeah, exactly. Totally crazy. So stay tuned. But yeah, that's the show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Todd, where do people find you out there?
They follow me on the threads at Teoxtra, at Secret Friends Unite, also the same on Instagram. You can DM me there if you want to reach out to me or you want to reach out to the show. If you want to be a guest, if you have a topic, do it there or also on our Discord as well.
Yes, absolutely. All those same things. I am on Threads and Instagram as well, at the C3, TheCeeThree, where I'm having a good time, sharing cat pictures, and just generally loving on life. And yeah, the Discords is kind of where things are at, not only for Secret Friends Unite, but also for a Trek chatting group I have called the United Trekkers of Michigan, which is not limited to Michigan. But if you like talking about Star Trek, we'd love to have you there. All right, with that, one more time, thanks for joining in, and I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
Running with the devil.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.